The year was 336 BC. In Macedonia, a mountainous kingdom to the north of Greece, a 20-year-old prince had become the new king after his father's assassination. But to the Macedonians, this was no ordinary prince. There had been divine signs and prophecies by Greek oracles that this prince was destined to conquer the world, tutored by perhaps the greatest of ancient Western philosophers, Aristotle. The little prince Alexander, in his childhood, had developed a deep love for the Greek epics Iliad and Odyssey. The story of Achilles and the fall of Troy fascinated him, but his real love was for the story of Odyssey, the decade-long mythical journey of the protagonist Odysseus to unknown lands, meeting mythical creatures and different kinds of people captured his imagination. Perhaps it was his deep-rooted love for Homer's Odyssey is what would inspire his decade-long conquests of the world known to the Greeks, from Europe through Egypt all the way to the northwestern borders of India. For the past several centuries before Alexander's birth, the Persian Empire was the dominant force that held sway over the Mediterranean world, stretching from Egypt to Anatolia to Afghanistan. During this time, there had been several legendary wars between the ancient Greeks and the Persian Empire. Around 150 years before Alexander became king, in 480 BC, the Persian army led by Emperor Xerxes I had set fire on Athens. Several significant structures, including the Acropolis, the Temple of Athena, and the Old Parthenon, were razed to the ground. Alexander's father had conquered the Greek city-states and brought them all under the Macedonian banner with the goal of a combined campaign against the Persian Empire. When Alexander ascended the throne, rebellion broke out. In retaliation, Alexander massacred the city-state of Thebes. Athens, which was showing signs of revolt, backed down, witnessing the brutal suppression of the Theban revolt. In 334 BCE, Alexander left Europe at the head of the united Greek army, his quest to conquer the world. His first encounter with the Persian Empire was in Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, in the Battle of Granicus. He defeated the combined army of the 5 satraps or wardens who governed over Anatolia on behalf of the Persian emperor. Following this victory, he made his way through the major cities in Anatolia to consolidate his power. In Gordion, there was a legendary knot tied to an ox cart for many years. An oracle had declared that anyone who would untie this knot was destined to conquer Asia. It is said that Alexander cut through the Gordion knot, thereby unraveling it. Alexander's greatest upcoming obstacle was passing with his army through a narrow pass called the Gates. However, due to poor planning by the Persian satrap defending it, the pass was left undefended. It is said that Alexander had remarked about this, saying he had never been so fortunate in his life. Alexander met the Persian Emperor Darius III in the Battle of Issus. Defeated, the emperor fled, leaving his family at the mercy of Alexander and his army. It is said that Alexander treated Emperor Darius's family with respect. Next, he proceeded to lay siege on the cities of Tyre and Gaza. With the help of the Persian navy, now under his command, he captured the cities while their populations were either slaughtered or sold into slavery. He made his way into Egypt, where he founded the city of Alexandria. He journeyed with his army deep into the deserts of Egypt to seek the wisdom of one of the most famous oracles of the ancient world, the Oracle of Amun, located in the Siva oasis. The oracle reinforced his belief. It declared that he was the son of a god and that it was his destiny to conquer the world. With reinforced confidence about his destiny of ruling the world, he left Egypt and made his way via Damascus to Mesopotamia. In 331 BCE, Alexander defeated and slaughtered the main army of the Persian Empire. Darius fled from the battlefield but was fatally stabbed by his own satrap Bessus. It is said that when Alexander found Darius dying, Darius had proclaimed Alexander as the next Persian emperor. Bessus, who claimed to be the successor of Darius, was killed by Alexander's forces soon after. The following year, Alexander entered Persepolis, the legendary capital of the Persian Empire. The residents of the city were executed or sold into slavery, and the city was looted and then burnt to the ground. This marked the end of the great Persian Empire of the ancient times of the Achaemenid dynasty, founded by Cyrus the Great in 550 BCE. The next year, Alexander traveled to the coast of the Caspian Sea and then entered Bactria, modern-day Afghanistan, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. Alexander then married the princess of Bactria, Roxanne or Ruxana, whom ancient historians call the most beautiful woman in the world. For the next 2 years, Alexander consolidated his power in Bactria. In 326 BCE, Alexander led his army to the northwestern borders of India. There, he encountered an Indian king called Porus in the Battle of Hydaspes on the banks of river Jhelum. It is important to note that strangely enough, there has been no historical account found in India to corroborate this story. So we have to go by what the ancient Greek historians have written about this. According to them, Alexander beat Porus in battle, although it was a very costly victory. The story goes, Porus was captured and brought before Alexander, but Porus refused to pay tribute and asked to be treated as a king, equal to Alexander. Impressed by this, Alexander let Porus continue his kingship and even gave him more territories. Now this is something which does not really align with Alexander's character or his pattern of conquests. Why would an ancient conqueror like Alexander, who after being victorious at a very heavy cost in terms of soldiers and resources, allow the defeated king to continue to be king and at the same time give him more territories? In my personal opinion, there may have been some sugarcoating done by the ancient Greek historians on the outcome of the Battle of Hydaspes in favor of the Greeks. Now we come to a question. For the ancient Greeks, the known world ended at the eastern borders of India. So why didn't Alexander cross the northwestern borders of India and enter into the Indian heartland? Megasthenes, an ancient Greek philosopher, historian and diplomat, roughly a contemporary of Alexander, who traveled to Pataliputra in Bihar, wrote in his book Indica that in the delta region of the Ganga, there was a kingdom, Gangaridai, which possessed a massive army with 4,000 war elephants. 3 centuries later, Greco-Roman historian Plutarch wrote an even more magnanimous account about the 2 kingdoms further east in India, Gangaridai and Prasioi. According to both of them, when Alexander and his generals learnt this information about the massive army being prepared to face them by these 2 kingdoms, they decided to turn back and not enter the Indian heartland. Archaeologists have speculated that the town of Chandraketugarh in West Bengal might have been Gange, the capital of Gangaridai. At that time, the Nanda Empire, based out of their capital at Pataliputra in Bihar, was the dominant force in the Indian heartland. Were the ancient Greek historians referring to the Nanda Empire when they referred to either Gangaridai or Prasioi? Perhaps we will never know. Anyway, Alexander took his army and returned back to Babylon in Mesopotamia, where he passed away 3 years after the Battle of Hydaspes at the early age of 32. Within 48 hours of his demise, competing factions within his court began fighting with each other. His legendary empire was splintered into many pieces. The wars between Alexander's generals to carve out their own territories are known in history as the Diadochean Wars. A few years later, his territories on the northwest frontier of India were captured by Chandragupta Maurya, the father of Emperor Ashok, from Alexander's general Seleucid Nicator. So what did you think about this video? Did you like it? Please let me know in your comments. And please consider checking out some of the other videos in my channel. And please subscribe. Thank you.